Israel strikes out just to stay alive. In the last few weeks, Israel didn't just drop bombs. They dropped a prophetic signal into the Middle East. And the world isn't ready for what's next. See, friends, while the media spins, the UN condemns, and progressive Christians hold signs that say, "Free Palestine," or "From the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free." That's a lot to put on a sign. They usually chant that one. On the other side, God's word is quietly but powerfully coming true. This isn't just military, it's moral. This isn't just strategic, it's spiritual. This is a flashpoint in biblical prophecy, and if you're not paying attention, you will be deceived. So what I want to do in this very important video is to expose the truth behind Israel's strike, the backlash against it, and the unstoppable story that's still being written by the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. First, the strike heard around the world. It's been a while since we had one of these. Israel recently launched a series of precision airstrikes targeting Iran's nuclear infrastructure and corrupt leadership. First, specifically, they went after sites tied to uranium enrichment and long-range missile development. The media called it aggression, of course. The UN called it escalation, of course. The old Biden administration people called it deeply concerning. What does that even mean? But what no one wants to admit is this. Iran has openly vowed to wipe Israel off the map. That's the single most important objective of Iranian leadership.
From my Death Star, I will destroy every city on the planet.
They've chanted death to Israel. They've chanted death to the USA too, but no one's paid attention. They've done this for 40 years. It's not theory, it's policy. And Israel didn't strike to provoke war. They struck to prevent annihilation. Listen, self-defense isn't aggression when your enemies want you erased. The second thing with something this traumatic that we need to consider is why this isn't just politics. It's prophecy. Listen, friends, this isn't geopolitics. This is Ezekiel 38 and other scriptures inching into position. Ezekiel 38 and 39, they predict a coalition of nations attacking Israel in the last days. And they specifically say it'll be led by a country from the far north, widely understood to include modern-day Russia, with allies like Persia, now Iran. So let's look at the signs. Israel's back in her land, Ezekiel 37, check. Surrounded by hostile nations, check. Russia aligning with Iran militarily, check. Global resentment against Israel rising, check. Jerusalem increasingly isolated on the world stage, double check there. This is prophecy unfolding in real time. You don't need a crystal ball, you need a Bible. And for those Christians teaching the very dangerous replacement theology, like Israel's not important anymore, listen to why you're wrong in point number 3 that I have. The biblical case for Israel's divine mandate. Listen, let's stop right here and say something clearly. Israel doesn't just have borders. She has a Bible-backed birthright. Genesis 12:3, and it starts even earlier than this, but Genesis 12:3 says, "I will bless those," this is God speaking, "who bless you. And him who dishonors you, I will curse." That covenant has not expired. It's eternal. Romans 11, 1 through 2, and then 25 to 29, Paul says, God has not rejected his people. They are beloved for the sake of their forefathers. Israel is still chosen, still relevant, still God's timepiece. Zechariah 12:3, if you haven't already heard enough, says, "On that day I will make Jerusalem a heavy stone for all peoples. All who lift it will surely hurt themselves." Look at the news. Every nation lifting against Israel is getting burned, economically, politically, spiritually.
Why can't they just leave her alone?
Psalm 122, verse 6 says, "Pray for the peace of Jerusalem." We don't just pray passively, we support actively, or we should. Listen, to curse Israel is to pick a fight with God himself.
Some fights, you can't win.
I love a lot of things people like Candace Owens present, but she's absolutely wrong when it comes to Israel. Number 4, the rise of apostate Christianity, standing with Palestine. Let's talk about the real betrayal happening right now. Inside the church, progressive Christians are lining up to stand with Palestine like it's some trendy Instagram movement. But let's be clear, Hamas isn't oppressed, they're terrorists. Israel isn't perfect, and maybe when you try to think of them as perfect, that's where you get messed up. But what they are is they're God's chosen nation. Palestine isn't a people group, it's a propaganda weapon.
What you're saying is there's a completely made up story that over 2 billion people agree on?
Completely made up.
Zechariah 14, 2 through 3 warns, all the nations will gather against Jerusalem. Then the Lord will go out and fight against those nations. To do what? To side with Israel's enemies is to side against God. And yet so-called Christian leaders are accusing Israel of genocide, apartheid, and colonialism. Wonderful new buzzwords. They're regurgitating lies lifted from the Hamas playbook. Listen, it's not compassion when you do that. It's compromise. This is not justice. It's Judas in a clerical collar. Number 5, what this means for you and the world. Here's the takeaway. This is not just war. This is not just headlines. This is God's timeline unfolding, and the church must not be asleep. What do we need to do? Support Israel spiritually, defend Israel intellectually, pray for Jerusalem persistently, and preach the gospel urgently. Because when Israel is at war, prophecy is in motion. And when the world turns against her, the king is coming soon. Are you ready? Because Israel's not just in the news, she's in the Bible. This moment's not random, friends, it's prophetic. And we are the generation watching it happen. So what do we do, Pastor Rob? Well, start by getting more educated. Watch more of my videos here. Then like, comment, and share this video, especially with someone confused about where Christians should stand on this. Comment below. I love discussion. Do you believe Ezekiel 38 is unfolding before our eyes?